This is CNN Breaking News.
Trump versus Comey. One of them is telling the truth and one of them is not. This is CNN Tonight. I'm Don Lemon. The president striking back at the bombshell testimony of the former FBI director accusing James Comey of lying and defiantly telling reporters during a news conference in the Rose Garden how he's prepared to respond.
So he said those things under oath. Would you be willing to speak under oath to give your version of those events?
100%.
A classic example of he said, he said. I want to begin this hour with Joe Madison, a host on Sirius XM, and syndicated talk radio host John Fredericks. My dream team of radio guys are back right now. Good evening to both of you. Joe,
glad to be back.
I'm going to start with you. Yesterday we heard from the former FBI director James Comey, his long-awaited bombshell testimony. What was your reaction?
Well, my reaction was that I think he was extremely credible. He did exactly what a lot of times I used to tell people when I worked for the NAACP, that if you think you're going to have an issue with an individual, the best thing to do is make sure you immediately go out and memorialize the conversation. And you don't have to always go into details. What it does, it in essence jogs the memory. And that's really what you saw. And you can always be certain that the other side probably didn't take notes unless there is a recording. Now, if there's a recording, then very simply, we'll know exactly who's telling the truth. But I think what's more disappointing than anything that I heard with the news conference is a grown man who's president of the United States, 70-some years old, playing hide and seek with a recording device. That is so unpresidential. I've never seen anything like it, and it's actually childish.
So, John, I'm guessing you disagree. What did you think of Comey's testimony?
Well, his testimony, I think, is the turning point in this administration because it's the great elixir now for Trump's presidency. After 12 months of exhaustive investigation, this James Comey kabuki drama show coming to Washington where the mainstream media was running around for a week with their hair on fire. There's nothing there, Don. There's no obstruction of justice. There's no wrongdoing. There's no evidence of collusion. There's nothing. They have absolutely nothing. Now what this administration has to do and what this president has to do is move on and start getting his agenda done. I thought on Thursday it was a tremendous win for the president. But I'll tell you something else, Don. It's backfiring for the Democrats, the mainstream media, and the Trump resistance. Because what they have done is they have taken a match and they have tossed it in to the simmering Trump base. The Trump base right now, the callers on my radio show, I've never seen anything like this in my career. They're stoked. They're fired up. These are the forgotten people that nobody thought would turn out on Election Day. They came out, and now they're reignited. And they're going to keep turning out. Karen Handel is going to win in Georgia in 2 weeks, and they're going to win the midterms. But this thing is backfiring on the Democrats like crazy.
None of the things that you have said have been determined. There hasn't been a determination about collusion, about obstruction, none of that. That's what's being investigated right now. So that hasn't been determined. So to say that there's no evidence there, we don't know. We're not investigators. There could
there's no evidence now, Don.
Right. There could be nothing there, but that has not been determined.
Right.
I think that gives people a false hope. It also gives them misinformation when you say there's nothing there because the investigation is still going on.
Don,
and by the way,
hold on, Don?
But yesterday's testimony, I'm just informing the viewer, John, yesterday's testimony was not about collusion. It was about why the former FBI director was fired. So, and remember, the Trump supporters are fired. It's 34, within that 34, he has a 34% approval rating. It's a small part of the country.
Everything John is saying about the base is probably absolutely true. And, you know, he talks about his callers. Well, I spent 4 hours today, and I'm going to tell you, in 4 hours, solid calls where everybody believed exactly what Comey was saying for all kind of reasons. But here, John, is what I think everybody should understand. There are 3 investigations going on. They haven't been completed. We've got a long way to go on this one. 1, you've got the House investigation. 2, you've got the Senate investigation. And there's a young guy by the name of Mueller who is now putting together a staff, and he's looking into criminal investigations. You know, I made the point about when they went after John Gotti. They didn't start off with Gotti. They actually got people to flip. And I think the flipper in the crowd is going to be Flynn the flipper. That's what's going to happen. And it might lead to Donald Trump. I don't know that. But let's not tell the American people tonight that it's all over. I would also agree with you. The Republicans are going to have to figure out a way how to legislate while all these investigations are going on, or they're dead in the water in 18.
Okay, so listen, the president, I'll let you respond. Go ahead, John.
Well, look, Joe, I agree with the potential of what might be out there. But the point is now, after 12 months and this testimony and all the investigations so far, there's absolutely nothing to suggest that the president did anything wrong. Some people don't like his style. They might be snowflakes. They don't like the fact that he looks them in the eye and asks them direct questions. They're uncomfortable. The guy should have resigned. The biggest mistake Trump made with James Comey was he should have fired him 12/01, January 21. That was the biggest mistake he made. The guy's incompetent. I'm glad he's out of there. Ray's a much better choice. But right now,
so why didn't
he was incompetent when he was going after Hillary?
Let me follow up on that. Why wouldn't he fire? Why do you think he waited so long, John?
Because he
I don't know.
Convince.
I think he should have.
Oh, I know why. Because he couldn't convince him to drop the Russian case. That's why he fired him. He said so. He told you why he fired him.
He didn't you know what? He tried. Look, if you know the president, he tries to get along with people at first. He tries to work with people. That's what he tried to do. He gave the guy a shot. It was a disaster. He fired him. I'd have fired him. If I was in the White House advising him, I'd have said 12/01, done with your
I know,
great
but my question was, why do you think
he
waited so long to fire him?
Donald Trump, the president's a really nice guy. This is the side of the president nobody understands. They only see the sound bites of him. You get to know President Trump. He's a really nice guy. He doesn't like to fire people, even though he had a show about that. But that's the irony of it.
But you still haven't answered my question. Why didn't he fire him? He said he fired him. He said he fired him because of the Russia investigation. That's what he said. That came out of his own mouth. You don't think that's why he fired him?
Don, I think he fired him on May 9th because he was frustrated with James Comey and his behavior as FBI director, that he wasn't doing the right thing. And that's why he fired him. And he's got a constitutional right to do that. He didn't like the guy. They didn't get along. He didn't
John,
have a.
this is ridiculous. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
He didn't like him. He fired him.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, John.
Presidents of the United States of America do not hire and fire people based on the fact whether they like them. My goodness, this is not a question of he's a nice guy and so I'll keep him around because I'm a nice guy. He already said why he fired him.
He gave him an opportunity, John. He gave him
You're John, I'm Joe.
shake and a fair opportunity. I'm sorry, Joe. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
He gave him a fair opportunity, Joe.
But a fair opportunity to do what? I mean, you said he didn't do the right thing. I'm trying to get to the bottom of why you think he fired him. What was so wrong with what he did? Why wasn't... What was the right thing for him to do?
The right thing for President Trump to do was fire James Comey on January 21st. That was the thing he should have done.
You said he fired him
because... That's the biggest mistake he made, was waiting until May 9th.
All right, we're going in circles here. I'm not getting an answer. Okay, so listen, today the president
I gave you an answer. January 21st. That's the answer.
That wasn't my question,
He waited to see if this FBI director would respond in a way that Trump wanted, which was basically, are you going to run the FBI?
That's a
Are you
heck
going
of
to run the FBI?
America, listen to what he... Wait a minute. Do you hear what he just said?
That's what
Trump wants you to do
right.
it. Excuse me. There is a separation between the FBI director and the president of the United States, and you just spilled some beans if you think that somehow the president of the United States has to make sure that the FBI director gets along with him. him? That does not work that way in my country, and certainly with this situation, when you are part of an investigation or your campaign is part of an investigation, what Comey should have done
had nothing to do with it. The investigation was going to go on whether he had him or not. It didn't matter.
Well, that's what look, when I asked you, John, when I said, you said because it wasn't the right thing to do, that he wasn't doing the right thing. He fired him because Comey wasn't doing the right thing. I was trying to get at what was the right thing, and you said he didn't do what Trump wanted him to do. That was
He didn't think that James Comey was running the FBI in a professional manner. He thought he was seeking publicity, and he had a separate agenda from the president.
So do you think he's lying then, John, do you think he's lying then when he says he fired him because of Russia? Because that's what he said.
He fired him because of Russia. He fired him because he was incompetent. I mean, the guy's been a total disaster
that's
since
not what
he's
he
been
said.
there. You know it, and
John,
I know
that's
it.
not what
From
he
the
said,
Hillary
though.
thing, the second Hillary thing.
Maybe he's been a disaster. I don't know. Look, it's not for me to decide. I'm not in government. I'm not in office. But he said he fired him because of the Russia thing. So do you think that which is it? Is the president lying when he said that? Or is he not lying? Because that's not what came out of his mouth. He didn't say he was incompetent.
And I haven't had a single FBI. I haven't had a single FBI. I have not had a single FBI agent who is a former, because most of them who are current will not call a talk show and tell me in my audience that he's been incompetent. Matter of fact, you hear just the opposite. But you know what? The reality is the President of the United States, as Ryan said, he's new. He doesn't know how the FBI is running. Remember, Ryan said he's new to all of this. So if he's so new, how the heck does he know how the FBI is running? Come on.
John, we'll talk about this on the other side. We have more to talk about. I'll let you jump in on the other side. We'll be right back. We're going to talk about Bill Maher as well. Back in a moment.
Acqua di Gio, Giorgio Armani.
3, 2, 1. When this bell rings, it starts a chain reaction that's heard throughout the connected business world. AT&T Network Security helps protect business from the largest financial markets to the smallest transactions by sensing cyber attacks in near real time and automatically deploying countermeasures, keeping the world of business connected and protected. That's the power of and.
La Quinta presents How to Win at Business. Step 1. Point decisively with the arm of your glasses. Abracadabra, the stage is yours. Step 2. Choose La Quinta, the only hotel where you can redeem loyalty points for a free night instantly and win at business.
When you have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis, the unpredictability of a flare may weigh on your mind. Thinking about what to avoid, where to go, and how to work around your UC. That's how I thought it had to be. But then I talked to my doctor about Humira and learned Humira can help get and keep UC under control when certain medications haven't worked well enough.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Raise your expectations and ask your gastroenterologist if Humira may be right for you. With Humira, control is possible.
I hated our bathtub, but who has time for a remodel? Not this family. And then there's the mess. Then I heard about Bath Fitter. They came in and put a beautiful new bathtub right over our old one. Bath Fitter also has seamless walls that provide a watertight fit. There's no mess, no demolition, and they get it done in as little as 1 day. Plus, they provide a lifetime guarantee. Thanks to Bath Fitter, I have a bathtub I love.
Call today or learn more at bathfitter.com.
Hello. Let's go for a ride on a Peloton. Let's go grab a couple thousand friends and chase each other up a hill. Let's go make a personal best, then beat it with your personal better than best. Let's go bring the world's best instructors right to you. Better yet, let's go bring the entire New York studio live. Let's go anytime, anywhere, with anyone who's willing. And let's go do it all right here. Ready to go? Peloton.
I was drugged. He was naked. I was telling him to stop. No, stop.
The accusers have lined up against Bill Cosby.
I will be damned if I will sit in silence anymore.
Now, one case is in front of a jury.
What was new?
The deposition. The deposition is very key because it's his own words.
Will America's dad end up behind bars?
How do you think this will end for Bill Cosby?
CNN special report, The Case Against Cosby, tomorrow night at 9.
All right, we're back now with Joe Madison and John Fredericks. This is my radio guy's dream team right here. So, Joe, I have to ask you, last Friday's HBO, Bill Maher found himself, on HBO, Bill Maher found himself in some hot water when he said this word on his show. Let's listen again.
Got to get to Nebraska more.
You're welcome. We'd love to have you work in the fields with us.
Work in the field?
That's part of that. That's
Senator, I'm a house nigga. No, it's a joke.
So this evening, Bill Maher addressed what he said last week on his show. He spoke with Michael Eric Dyson about it. Listen to this.
There is a lot of bullshit apologizing in America, and I am against that. But, you know, we shouldn't apologize for slavery and Japanese internment and Abu Ghraib and Indian genocide and Tuskegee and a million. So when it's appropriate, this was appropriate. Because I'll tell you why. Because for black folks, that word, I don't care who you are, has caused pain. I'm not here to do that. Now, the guy who was here, it's not his fault. I feel bad about him, the senator. It's all on me. But he said a weird thing. The comic mind goes to a weird place sometimes. But it doesn't matter that it wasn't said in malice. It wasn't. If it brought back pain to people.
Well,
then and that's why I apologize freely, and I reiterate it tonight. That's sincere.
What do you think, Joe?
Well, I think it was sincere. I think what bothers me as much as Bill Maher, and he's right, you know, I know a lot of great comedians. Dick Gregory has made a career out of that word, but you have to understand, he comes from an entirely different psychological, social aspect of it. The thing that bothered me most, and no one has talked about it, is when Bill Maher made that mistake. You know, the audience applauded. The vast majority of those people in that audience, they didn't boo, they didn't hiss, they applauded.
Well, some of them gasped. They were like, ooh.
Yeah, well,
you don't think it was maybe some nervousness or?
Oh, well, there might have been. I wasn't in the audience, but I heard a lot of applause. Look, you know, I make on my show, I'm going to say this. Jewish people have made, to their credit, they have gotten rid of the K word. When I bring this up on my radio show, I have grown people say, what's the K word? And there's a reason they've done that, because they are not going to allow themselves to be undervalued, underestimated, or marginalized, and they understand what that word has meant historically, and it's about time.
Do you say the word on the show? Do you tell people what the word is kike, but do you say that on your show, or do you just not say it?
Only if asked.
Only if asked.
Only if asked, yeah, because let me tell you, if Bill Maher had said that on his show, he'd have been through.
What do you think, John? Do you think he adequately addressed it, and what do you make of what Joe said?
Well, I agree with Joe, but it's really the total desensitization now of America, where it seems to be acceptable to have these people go on their various television shows and say things that are just offensive to millions and millions of Americans in this way, and they think they can get away with an apology, whether it be Kathy Griffin or Bill Maher or someone else, and it really is not a fun time that we're in. But look, everybody's got choices, and here's the bottom line, Joe and Don, is that if you don't like Bill Maher, don't watch him. Don't turn on HBO, cancel your subscription to it. It's real easy to do. I got a much better choice for late night TV on the East Coast in America, CNN Tonight with Don Lemon. Much better choice. That's what I would do if I was watching late night TV, Don.
I like both of them, to be quite candid, and I also like being on with you. And the reality is that people on the left and the right do it. The reality is that he was sincere in his apology. I think most people have accepted it and moved on. And he had the right person on, Michael Eric Dyson, to lecture him. He just needed a good lecturing, and he got it.
Yeah. Do you remember when the whole Duck Dynasty thing happened?
Yeah.
And with the gay. And my stance was that the market will decide if you don't tune in. And the show, they lost a whole bunch of viewers. I don't believe in boycotting or people for whatever. Just don't watch them.
It's kind. Don, it's kind of
so
like
right,
Don. I'm sorry, the last segment with the F word. If that senator had not used the F word, we wouldn't be talking about what she said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The reality is that's true.
Because I see people out there all the time. There's this whole thing that wasn't addressed, that Hannity does about boycotting. It's like, why would you want someone to boycott someone? This is America. It's about freedom of speech. No one should be boycotting people. The boycott should be, if you don't like what they say, then don't watch them. Now, listen, there are exceptions. If someone does something that's horrible, what Kathy Griffin did, and I don't think it was the right thing to do, neither does she. She has apologized for it.
I agree.
Bill Maher has apologized for it. So they've apologized. Move on.
Yeah.
People should not be castigated for their entire life. Their careers should not be ruined for their entire lives because they did something wrong once. And if they sincerely apologize for it, then the market, the people who accept them, go ahead and watch them. If you don't want to watch them anymore, you don't want to go to their concerts, you want to watch their show or what have you, you don't want to buy their music, then don't do it. But to stop trying to boycott people, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Go on, John.
Don, you're spot on. I mean, you are so spot on tonight. Just don't watch it. That's all you have to do. And it's kind of like a free market economy. You make decisions by what you do, your feed, how you spend your money.
But that's not to say, listen, I have to say, though, freedom of speech comes with consequences. Because if I say something on this show, I've got the freedom to say it, but people also have the right to react the way that they're going to react to it. I have to accept the consequences. Go on. Sorry to cut you off.
Well, let's get your Duck Dynasty example is classic. Because I used to watch Duck Dynasty once in a while, not often, but I'm a staunch gay rights Republican. I've been fighting this battle for gay rights for Republicans for 3 decades. Now, when that came out on that show, I just couldn't watch it again. So I didn't watch them, which means I didn't see their advertisers, which means I'm not involved. And so that's all people have to do. If you don't like something, you got a lot of choices. Everybody's got cable or satellite today or something. Yeah. There's thousands of channels on.
You can
just make your decision.
What channel are you on again, Joe?
Me? Are you talking to me?
Eagle, yeah.
Oh, I'm on Sirius XM 128, the Urban View, and let me tell you, every time I'm on this show, I get folks who love us. They appreciate the exchange, and then I get some of the most visceral, nasty.
That's great. We're doing something right. And John, what are you on? You're syndicated, right?
Yeah. If you can get 50% of your audience mad at you 50% of the time, you're doing the best job you possibly can in America. That's our mantra. That's what we try to do.
If you don't believe me, read my Twitter feed. Thank you all. Always a pleasure to have both of you on. Up next, President Trump trying to assure NATO of America's commitment, but it's what he's not saying that's raising questions.